I sit on both camps, right? There is a science camp, so there is, and I understand what you're asking, Indy. What is the role of medication in? Look, there is depression, and then there's psychotic depression, people hearing voices. There is a role for medical intervention, hands
Absolutely,
down,
yeah,
hands
yeah.
down, right? But there is a bigger role for before we get to that point where somebody needs to be sectioned and put in a hospital in psychotic depression, right? And so even within psychology or psychiatry, Indy, there is a model called the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yeah,
which
that was going to be the next thing I move on to. Yeah,
right, which echoes this thing. You have a thought, which leads to emotion, which leads to behavior. But if you try and address the downstream, simply the behavior, which is what I used to do when I started coaching people, and I was like, why am I not getting results? It's because you have to go upstream. You have to remove these limiting beliefs. I know Manmeet's obviously done NLP. I've done NLP. And the model we're talking about there is how do we actually get to the point where we can see objective truth? Whereas actually everything, and I use this example all the time. People, it's like, we could look outside, it could be raining, Indy, you could be happy, I could be sad, but the stimulus is exactly the same. So how can we have different perceptions of the same universal external stimulus? It's because our perception is different. But how do we get to the point, and this is my question to you, Manmeet, how do we get to the point of objective truth? How do we see something for what it actually is? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's definitely based on quality
He's
questions.
just dropped the microphone on the floor, hasn't he?
Was it the mic or was it the bottle of water?
Yeah. No,
It's the phone that records everything.
Right. It's back.
Don't worry.
See, it's a good question. And just too much energy in the room, man.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, okay. So basically, when we look at the fact that it is perception. I mean, you spoke about people being sections and things like that. I've worked with those kind of people that are on severe medication, and then, like I said, they have a role. I'm not there to tell them to come off the medication. I'm there to say, look, when you feel that there is nothing needed for this medication, you'll come off it. I'm just at the moment currently working with somebody who's just stayed in a hospital as well, and I think it must be about at least 6 weeks out now, and he's not on any sleeping tablets. Already the dosage of the depression tablets have gone down, but the one inspiring one was when I actually went into Nightingale and consulted
hospital.
And consulted somebody there a couple of times, but within the first consult it had a huge impact. And I think within we had about 3 or 4 sessions, and she was referred to me by a client of mine who basically works with nurses, and she was out of there. She hasn't been back since. Why? Because we took the very thing that is causing her to do depression, looked at the other side of certain things where she got her mind into balance. She's not needed to be there. You know what I mean? It's like everything, every single thing, every action, every decision, every perception we're having. We were talking about me and Jazz just meeting on the weekend. It's all happening in a sea of divine intelligence. And so therefore, like, it's all a strategy to get us what we want met most. And we can use the most effective strategy to get the most amount of priorities in our life met. So when you look at the perception that you're asking about, Jazz, how do we actually get to the objective truth? It's by asking quality questions to help you awaken both sides of that magnet.